Okay, everybody, welcome back to the continued combinatoric series. This is the first example we're using the keyword permutations, and we are going to start combining the stuff we looked at in the last really 3 videos. Going to kind of combine into this lesson here, where we have factorial notation, as you can see from our formula down below, and we also are going to be combining with a little bit of multiplication rule as well, or kind of how we get to our answer. So, use the letters A, B, C, D, E, and F without repetition. How many different 2-letter arrangements are there? So many different ways can I pair up my letters. Now, I could brute force this problem, and I've seen students do this. They literally just go, okay, I got A, B, I've got B, A, and just keep going until you cover every single option. Well, as we get more and more letters, this is going to take more and more time, and we need to have a mathematical way where we can solve and get to our answer. Okay, so trying to brute force every single permutations problem, you're just going to lose marks somewhere. So I would recommend learning the formula, which is also on most formula sheets in pretty much every single exam board. It certainly is in Queensland. The first thing I want to point out is this word here, arrangements. You can see I've written that in bold for a reason. Whenever I see the word arrangements, that implies that the order is important. It's actually kind of what I mentioned before. That means that A, B, and B, A, I don't know why I can't write the letter B very well, apologies. This counts as 2 different arrangements. Okay, so it's the same letters, but depending on how I structure them will change the arrangements. So you can imagine if I had 3-letter combinations, how long it would take you to start brute forcing the problem. But if I had 4-letter combinations, again, it's going to take you even longer to brute force and get to our results. So the word arrangement should trigger the word we look for. When we see the word arrangements, my brain should think of the word permutations. Okay, permutations means that order is important when it comes to combining my different letters or numbers or terms or cards or whatever. There's so many different things you can find permutations of, lottery numbers, all that stuff. I guess lottery numbers are a combination. That's for a different lesson. But still, permutations implies I have an order that matters. The order in which I pick my items or members of my group actually matter, and I get different arrangements based on the order I choose things. Okay, that's what the word permutations means. So when I see the word arrangements, I should think permutations, and I should think of this formula here, which is NPR, which is equal to, on the formula sheet, is n factorial over n minus r factorial. That's why we used n in the previous example as well, because this letter comes up all the time throughout the entire topic. So what do these things mean? Well, n is simply the number of items I have in my group, or the number of members of my group, or however I really want to structure that, okay? So if we have a look, well, the things in my group are letters from A to F. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 members of my group. So in a question like this, it's happy, like training wheels approach, just start by labeling what is n and what is r. So the numbers of my group is going to be 6. R is how many members of the group am I picking. So I like to think n, like number, pick, number, I guess. So the word P I like to think of as pick. So how many members am I picking? Well, I am picking 2 members from my group of 6. So if I was to fill in this, I simply have 6P2 is what I'm trying to find. If I put those numbers into my formula, this is a tech-free example. We will look at how to do this on the calculator later on. This is a totally allowed on the calculator. This is just specifically a tech-free question, a non-calculator question. I would use my formula. N is going to be the number 6, so I'm wind up with 6 factorial divided by 6 minus 2 factorial. That gives me 6 factorial over 4 factorial, and I get a question very, very similar to what we looked at in the second video, where I can now cancel out. I'm going to zoom in here a little bit. I'll put my answer just to the side here, so I don't have to scroll down too much. I can write 6 factorial as 6 multiplied by 5 multiplied by 4 factorial divided by 4 factorial. Again, I get some lovely cancelling, and I'm left with an answer of 6 times 5, which gives me 30 different arrangements. 30 different arrangements for how I could pair up letters A, B, C, D, E, and F. So I have 30 different arrangements of those letters. Again, when I see the word arrangements, I should think permutations, and I use my NPR formula. So hopefully you guys found that helpful. I'll see you guys in the next video. Enjoy the rest of your day.